Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Street Talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnotti. As you can see, we're doing things a little bit differently today. Because of the tone of the program, today's program, I'm not really in the mood to tell any jokes, because today we're going to talk about the safety of our children. Okay, the risk they face and what are we going to do about it? Okay. Well, what I'm suggesting today is that we properly identify the risk, and then we properly identify the solution to that current risk. And then after that is done, create solutions to continue this protection and do what else is necessary to prevent the risk of danger to our children in the future. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, okay, Street Talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnotti. I want you to stick around. It's going to be a very interesting show today. Give me a minute, do some commercials. We'll be right back. Thanks.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week, we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
Just as we went on the air, Steve, NCW Life is live now on Facebook.
Hey, how's about that? We're live, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Dan Kuntz, your host for the next hour.
Every weekday, starting at 7 o'clock.
Get ready for a bunch of news that's coming your way.
Here's what's happening around North Central Washington. I'll have a rundown of all your local, regional, and statewide news. You can also find more on our website at ncwlife.com. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. That's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on NCW Life News.
If you're stuck trying to find the perfect beer for you, look no further than Badger Mountain Brewing. We specialize in creating tantalizing craft beers that will soothe any picky taste buds and will satisfy your cravings. Check out everything from our amazing honey blonde that will appease even the most finicky taster, or a delicious frothy stout for dark beer lovers. Experience them all at Badger Mountain Brewing.
When Mike leaves town, it's a little scary. You never know who might be outside. But we feel safer inside, knowing our home is being monitored by a local company. I can check our alarm from just about anywhere, so when we get home, I know it's safe.
Protect your family and save money with a local company. Switch your current security monitoring to Guardian Services from LocalTel. Call Guardian Security from LocalTel now, or visit localtel.net to learn more.
Hey, Street Talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, thanks for coming back. Hey, I told you that we're going to be talking about risks to our children today. And one of those horrendous, heinous risks that are faced by our children today and have been for many, many years is the threat of child sexual abuse. Now, statistics say that 25% of the females in our population are going to be sexually assaulted one way or the other by the time they graduate high school. And depending on what statistics you read, they say that figure is for 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 boys facing the same fate. Now, depending on what you read, it's possible that you know that these crimes are vastly underreported, that many of these cases never come to light, and it's suspected by some experts that despite the official statistics, the cause of child sexual abuse happens much more often than we expect. Now, what is the risk to our children? Well, what do? Parenting 101 is to warn your children against strangers. Be careful. Don't get in the cars of strangers. Don't go with strangers. But the reality is this. Strangers are responsible for 7 to 10%, if that high, of child sexual assault cases. The real risk to our children as far as sexual assault is concerned is from people that they know. Fathers, stepfathers, mom's boyfriends, Uncle Bob, family friends. As a sex crimes detective, back when I worked for the Wenatchee PD, I realized that sex crimes occur within relationships, and the people we need to warn our children against are the people that they know and sometimes are in a loving relationship with. Now, that reality is simply too horrifying for many parents to face. Now, I'm not in any way criticizing here, but how many of you parents actually have warned your children against the absolute true reality of the situation? No, we warn them about strangers. And in doing so, we increase the potential risk for them rather than facing the reality of what they actually face. Something to think about. Now, what I'm concerned about is that as far as the school shooting issue is concerned, we're often doing the same thing. We're not facing up to the reality. We're arguing about points that aren't going to make any difference. We're arguing about things that can't happen and can't bring about a solution right now. Now, this is the scenario I want to present, and it's hypothetical, of course, but I think it is probably closer to reality than many of us want to admit. Now, somewhere out there in this United States, there's a young man who's contemplating a school shooting. He either has the weapons that he intends to use or he has access to them. He knows which school he's going to target. He's preparing or is prepared to do so. And eventually, that young man is going to threaten one of the schools we have, and another school shooting potential is going to loom before us. Now, my question today is, what do we have to do to prevent or deter that young man from reaching that goal of our next school shooting? That reality exists. That person is out there. What do we do to prevent or deter him? Now, I've put together a list of what I think covers most of the things that people are suggesting that need to be done. And I want to ask, or have you ask yourself, are any of these things going to stop or deter that young man? Now, as I said earlier, if we're going to take a look at what the risk is and decide how to deal with that risk, we have to face what the reality is. And the reality is this, ladies and gentlemen, like it or not, we have a strong gun culture in this society. I think someone said earlier today there's 350 million firearms in the United States right now. Now, you may not like that. You may think that's wrong, and you may be right. I don't know. You may rail against the NRA. You may rail against the Republicans or the people who are Second Amendment supporters and say they are the ones that are to blame. And I'm not necessarily saying that you're not correct, okay? But complaining about these things is not going to change the culture as it exists. The culture is that we are a gun culture, okay? That is how it exists right now. Now, does that have to change? I don't know, possibly. But the risk right now is as I said, there's a young man out there with access to the weapons if he doesn't have them already and he is planning a school shooting. What do we do to stop him? All right? Now, let's take a look at some of the things, all right, that we have done. Now, there's been a lot of arguing since Columbine. Now, Columbine, of course, was not the first school shooting. Actually, the first school massacre, if you look this up and do a little research, you'll find out occurred sometime back in the 1700s, and there's been repeated incidences since then. And I believe the Barry Lukaitis incident that happened in Moses Lake happened before Columbine, actually. Okay, but Columbine was the granddaddy. This is the one that really started this. And there's been arguments, there's been finger pointing, but there's been very little done ever since then. And blame who you will on that, it doesn't change the situation right now that a risk exists. Now, the one thing that was done since Columbine is that schools have put up gun-free zone signs. Now, I'm not going to comment too much about how I feel about those. Now, I will say this. A friend of mine chastised me and said, the gun-free zone signs are not placed to deter a school shooting. They're there to just let the average citizen know that the school would prefer they don't bring their guns in there. Okay, all that's fine and good, but why were they not placed on schools until after Columbine? Just something to think about. But I think we would agree that gun-free zone signs are not going to do anything about the current threat that we face right now. Now, there's another thing people are doing to combat this issue about gun violence, and this is social justice worrying, okay? Social justice warriors. These are people who promote socially progressive views, usually on social media or Facebook, Twitter, that type of thing. And they sometimes are rude and insulting to people that they disagree with. Now, I'm not saying these people don't have the right to their opinion, but sometimes expressing the opinion, these social justice warriors, is that's all they do. Saying something's fine, but my question is, what are you going to do? And I'm asking you this, are these postings and these actions taken on social media by social justice warriors, are they doing anything to prevent the scenario I presented, that there's a young man out there somewhere planning a school shooting? Something for you to think about. Now, there's another thing that people are taking up. It's happened recently in our community. It was nationwide. This march against gun violence. I'm all for these marches, okay? I think they are excellent examples for people, not only young people, but other people, to express their discontent with what is happening in our society and bringing this attention of the people to those people in power, so that the people in power hopefully will begin to pay attention. I think these things have great effect. I think that they are excellent, but again, even if they do change the opinion of people who are in power to begin to take some action, some of the action that's being taken is less than the best, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But they're not going to do anything about the scenario I presented, that there's a young man out there with a weapon right now planning on a school shooting. Other things that have been mentioned, more school counseling, additional bullying education, and more hands-on working with potentially problem students in the classroom, in the schools themselves. Again, this is part of a comprehensive solution that needs to be looked at, and I certainly agree with the motive behind this. But are we looking a little bit too late, okay? Are we looking at putting this into action to stop the scenario that I presented earlier, okay? Now, there's something new on the horizon. This is the voluntary gun buy that I believe Governor Inslee just signed. Now, you may not be aware of this. I wasn't aware of it till just the other day. And this is a bill that if I wake up, if I'm a gun owner, for example, and I wake up one day and I realize that I am possibly going to be a danger to myself or to other people, I can go somewhere, maybe the courthouse, and I can sign a piece of paper that voluntarily gives up my Second Amendment rights. I will voluntarily agree that I should not be allowed to own or buy a firearm. Okay, I don't necessarily see any problem with this. I saw some people react to it saying that it's interesting that the government wants people to sign away their constitutional rights, but whether neither here nor there, I think if a person wakes up and feels that he is emotionally or mentally unstable enough that he shouldn't be trusted with a firearm, if he wants to surrender that right, I say fine. But part of the issue with this is what I have with these other solutions is that it has no effect on the scenario that we're talking about. This law isn't even going to come into effect until next year. Okay, maybe it's part of a comprehensive solution, but it's not something that's going to do anything about the risk we face now. The risk, again, being that we are a gun culture, like it or not, that there's a young man out there with weapons or access to weapons and is preparing to do a school shooting. Again, looking at these arguments and saying, what do we need to do now to deter this person or stop them from carrying out their plan? We haven't come up with anything yet, okay? I'm sorry, we simply haven't. None of these things I've mentioned so far is going to stop that person. Okay, now this is one I'm familiar with. Next argument that's been kicked around lately, and it does have some merit, is improved mental health services. A lot of people are saying that it's not an issue of the guns, it's not an issue of access to them, but these people who are shooting up these schools are people with mental health issues. And if we can only get the mental health help, this would be part of a comprehensive solution. And again, I don't necessarily disagree with this, but I'm a mental health professional. In the past 13 years or so, I've probably worked with 4 or 5 young men who could be considered potentially dangerous in one way or the other. Quite frankly, some of these people are amenable to counseling, some of them are not, okay? And as I discussed this with a friend earlier today, they said, well, at least if you find out this person is a danger and he's not amenable to counseling, he can at least be monitored and taken care of. Well, that's certainly the possibility if the danger is sufficient to violate confidentiality. Now, we live in a society with rules. As a mental health counselor, I am not allowed to give information about a person's potential danger unless I have articulable cause that this person could be a threat. Sometimes I've had that, and I've had made those reports, or that this person is being harmed themselves. Sometimes I just have suspicions that are not sufficient to violate confidentiality. So mental health does have a part in this, and as I said, some of these young men aren't amenable to counseling, but some of them are. These people are those that we can work with. And sometimes schools and other people can join together if the person agrees that these issues can be shared and this person can be helped. But again, mental health counseling is not going to do anything about the current scenario that I've already discussed and presented. Now we're going to talk about some more of these solutions and go over them in a minute. And I'm going to come up with my own, agree with it or not. But first we need to take a break. But this is Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati, stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm Dr. Ron Singleton. See how Ideal Protein can help you.
I started Ideal Protein about 10 months ago. I'm down 123 pounds and a little over 50 inches.
Using Ideal Protein, I've lost 37 pounds in just 10 weeks.
I lost over 52 pounds in 4.5 months on Ideal Protein.
This has been a wonderful journey. The food is great and it's a very easy program to follow.
This medically designed program has repeatable, safe, and effective results. Call us today to schedule your weight loss consultation.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is State Representative Kerry Condata inviting you to check out our newest show on the NCW Life channel. We call it the 12th District. Each week we'll be taking an in-depth look at various political issues that affect our area, our state, and the world. We'll be featuring local and statewide experts on the subject matter at hand. Please join us weekly for the 12th District with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Check your channel guide for times or go to ncwlife.com for details.
This is TV. This is TV Set Free. TV everywhere from LocalTel sets you free to watch what you want, where you want. Catch your favorite networks, including live TV, ready to watch on any web-connected device for no extra charge. That's TV Set Free. Enjoy the extra value LocalTel delivers with TV everywhere. Visit localtel.net and sign up today.
Hi, I'm Eric Granstrom, your host for Let's Learn here on the NCW Life channel. On this program, we take a little extra time to dive into various subjects to learn more about them, whether it's taxes, investing, death or dying, or anything else for that matter. We'll learn more about it right here. It's Let's Learn on the NCW Life channel. Come on, let's learn together.
Okay, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati, thanks for coming back. We're talking about safety to our children today, specifically talking about school shootings. And my premise is that if we are going to do what's necessary to protect our children, we need to honestly assess the risk. And the risk is this: we are a gun society, like it or not. There are 350 million firearms in this country. They are accessible to people with evil intent. And my hypothetical scenario, which again is probably closer to the truth than it is hypothetical, is that there is a young man out there somewhere with either weapons in his possession or access to those weapons, and he is planning to shoot up a school. And my question today is, what action steps do we need to implement to stop or deter that person from committing the next school shooting? And what I'm doing is presenting different scenarios of things people have suggested to deal with this problem, and not in any way denigrating. Well, I guess I've denigrated some of them, but saying, yes, maybe they are part of the comprehensive solution, but are they going to be effective in stopping the current risk, which is that young man I presented just a minute ago? Okay, there's lots of talk about different restrictions on gun sales, banning bump stocks, raising the legal limit to buy firearms, increasing restrictions, greater restrictions on gun shows. All these things have viability, particularly, in my mind, increasing restrictions on gun shows and what people can sell if they're outside of a more formal environment. Now, these things are going to have effect. I'm not in any way denying that, but they're going to take some time. They're going to take legislation. And you can look what our government has been able to do since Columbine. Nothing. Okay, you can blame the Democrats, you can blame the Republicans, you can blame anybody you want to, but nothing has been done. If legislation is going to happen, it's not going to happen right away. It's not going to have any effect on the young man in our hypothetical situation, as I said. Another one is very common: banning assault weapons. Now, I'm happy to consider this one, okay? If someone can tell me what an assault weapon is. If you look at the Clinton ban, okay, an assault weapon is a weapon that would take, well, I don't even know if the magazine size was part of that. I think so. Could take a magazine size of, you know, of 30 rounds. If it had a pistol grip, if it shot in a semi-automatic function. Now, one of the weapons that was banned during that time was the granddaddy that people like to blame this, you know, in this day and age, the AR-15. Okay, no argument that an AR-15 was an assault rifle and therefore fell under the ban. But a Ruger Mini-14 was not banned, okay? A Ruger Mini-14 will do the exact same thing an AR-15 will do. It just doesn't look scary. Now, some configurations, people dress them up. Man, but you take a Ruger Mini-14 ranch rifle and it looks like just a plain rifle. It wasn't banned, though it has the same capacity to create the same damage as a, what is it? Oh, doggone it, why do I keep forgetting this? The AR, I'm not a gun nut, okay? The AR-15. Ruger Mini-14, AR-15, same round, same capacity to fire semi-automatically. We'll accept the same size magazines. One's banned, one's not. All right, so banning assault weapons, again. But like I say, the weapons our hypothetical shooter has are already in his possession or ready to be accessed. Okay, hobble the politicians who are supported by the National Rifle Association. Well, good luck with that. Yeah, there's going to be some pressure on them, but I'm not going to comment too much on that, all right? Not that I agree or disagree with it, but these guys need money to be reelected, and reelection is their primary focus. Okay, then let's move on to the NRA. Eliminate the NRA, hobble the NRA. Well, I'm sorry, people, again, now I'm not an NRA member and I'm not speaking in defense of them, but this is America, okay? This is a legitimate organization that probably has membership. I think they claim, what do they claim membership-wise? I think they claim that they have 10 million people that are members. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 5 million people that are members. Like it or not, blaming the NRA for school shootings and looking to the NRA's elimination or emasculation is just whistling in the wind, okay? Yeah, you may not like the NRA, you may not like the lobbying that they do, but they are a legal organization and they're part of the fabric of how our government works. Now, I'm not supporting that fabric, but that's how it works, that's how it exists. And even if you can do something to eliminate the NRA or somehow hobble their influence, it's not going to do anything right away. It's going to be far in the future, and though it may be part of a comprehensive long-term solution, it's not going to do a doggone thing to stop our hypothetical shooter. Okay, another solution, institute a forced registration of all firearms. Now, you can't buy a firearm nowadays, whether you can at a gun show or not, I don't know, but you can't go into a gun store and buy one without being registered, without signing your name, without letting the government know that you're purchasing it. But there's plenty of firearms out there that aren't registered. Well, do you really think there's a way for the government to go about and make sure every firearm is registered in the United States, whether it should happen or not? I'm not saying. I'm just saying that it's going to be something extremely difficult, that it's not going to be done right away. Okay, another one is repeal the Second Amendment. Well, go right ahead. Okay, ask that the Second Amendment be either repealed or rewritten. And you can post on Facebook all you want, these constitutional experts that say what the Second Amendment really means, and all it's going to be is one person's opinion against another's. All right, now you can look at me and say, well, the Second Amendment didn't mean AR-15s. As a Second Amendment meant just a militia, and we don't have a militia. Okay, fine and good. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not arguing with you. All I'm saying is that your arguments are doing nothing to change the fact that right now, people have the right to arm themselves. We are a gun culture. We are a gun society. Now, you can throw up your hands and say, that's the problem. Okay, fine, maybe it is. But if you're going to do something about it, it's going to take some time, it's going to take some effort, and it is not going to do a doggone thing to stop our hypothetical shooter. Okay, so the question again is, how do we stop this person? What do we do? Now, my proposal has been made publicly at school board meetings, and it's this. We need to look at the risk. The risk is the gun is out there. So what I'm saying is that we need limited access to our schools, metal detectors at those doors, and armed guards. Now, I presented this. I've had people complain and say, well, if children have to go through metal detectors, watch out for PTSD. I'm sorry, that's a ridiculous statement that I'm not even going to entertain with an argument right now. Contact me on Facebook if you want to know why, okay? But let's do something to stop this shooter. That's the only thing I can think of. Metal detectors at the doors, restricted access to the schools, and armed guards. Now, is that going to be a complete guarantee that nothing will happen? No, of course not. There is none. And if you disagree with me, fine. I have no problem with that. But tell me what will work. Don't come and complain that there's too many guns. The guns exist. Don't come and complain to me about the NRA. The NRA is there and it's not going away in the near future. Okay? Don't come and complain to me that the Republicans have been the people who've stopped any action since Columbine. I'm sorry. The situation exists right now that we are a gun culture and there is a shooter out there. What do we do to stop him? Again, my argument is armed guards, limited access to our schools, and metal detectors. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, Street Talk and Other Stuff. If you stick around, we'll be back in a minute.
Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on LocalTel Channel 12.
Watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
Dear Mary Maids, please clean the kitchen, and the cabinets, and floors, and the chairs. And I wish you could clean the dog. Colin is now feeding himself. Thanks, Megan.
Hi, Megan. No worries. We got it all cleaned up. Let's hope Colin gets past the spaghetti flinging stage soon. Till then, we've got you covered. See you next time, Mary Maids.
Just as went on the air, Steve, NCW Life is live now on Facebook.
Hey, how's about that? We're live, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Dan Koontz, your host for the next hour.
Every weekday, starting at 7 o'clock.
Get ready for a bunch of news that's coming your way.
What's happening around North Central Washington. I'll have a rundown of all your local, regional, and statewide news. You can also find more on our website at ncwlife.com. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. That's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on NCW Life News.
Okay, I believe that when Governor Inslee signed the bill banning bump stops in Washington, he says, if this measure saves one life, it's worth it. Well, I'm asking you, if another measure, such as the one I'm proposing, has the potential to save many lives, isn't it also worth it? Again, think about it, folks. What solution is there to stop the hypothetical shooter out there that I proposed? Okay, thanks for tuning in. Next week, retired Marine Corps Major and retired Wenatchee Police Department Corporal Guy Miner will be here. We will be discussing weapon types. There's a lot of confusion about what an assault weapon is that we've talked about earlier, why some weapons are banned and some aren't. We'll be bringing examples and showing pictures, but that'll be next week, so I hope you tune in. Street Talk and Other Stuff, Mike Mad Dog Magnotti. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.